There's plenty of studios I would shut down because of the fact they can't produce anything good anymore. Lots of studios like that, but I'll focus only on more prominent ones and the ones I'm more familiar with. When I say studios, I mean developer studios and not the publishers. I would shut down most publishers without even thinking twice, but studios are a bit more difficult to decide due to the fact that it's a cohesive unit creating things, while the publishers just publish. All easily replaceable, unlike developers. Publishers are at the forefront of lots of bad things in the gaming industry, especially in AAAs. So let's get started with the list, you useless bastards. It's obviously a subjective list that could be expanded a lot. These are the ones that came to my mind immediately that I don't think can create at least good games anymore, and I'm of the thought school of if you can't make anything good, don't even make it. Obvious choice for most people is and should be Electronic Arts and its sports subsidiaries. I've played plenty of FIFA games since the legendary 1998 installment, loved playing soccer or European football games. Played NBA Live 2 when it was the best option a long time ago and a couple NHL games. Reason why I would shut down EA Sports Studios is because their lack of overall improvements, especially for single player modes, removing features and reintroducing them, cheating AI, over monetization, focus being on ways to play cheap dopamine tricks on poor bastards that have no control of themselves to earn as much money as possible without actually improving their games. Annual installments have become a laughingstock for anyone with a brain for a decade now. Copy-paste games with few added animations, changing pace of the game and existing animations, single-player modes severely stagnating, no legendary players to play with in single-player modes, and now they even lost FIFA license. Maybe someone else picks it up and does something significant, but it's an expensive license to get. EA Sports redefined European football games with FIFA 2008, or around that time if I recall correctly. And it was truly something else until they figured that what's the point in creating quality games when instead easy money can be obtained by rewiring brains of the young ones to throw money at them for nothing. Influencers are also a problem in this regard because they are pushing buying packs and such for Madden, FIFA and other EA Sports games. Basically, EA Sports has created a culture of incredibly bad consumer practices, low quality games and laying casino foundations where such things shouldn't even exist in games. At least not paid casinos. Gaming would be far better without EA Sports at this point in time. They've taken licenses for almost every major sports while benefiting from stagnation and even at times going backwards. Things need to change for sports games to reach their true potential with modern technology, and EA Sports is definitely not a studio to do that. To continue with the sports team, Visual Concepts is a studio that developed NBA 2K. They have shocked the world with their 2K series, almost similar to what EA Sports did with FIFA in the mid-2000s. Also, the same problems are the reason why I would shut down this studio. Selling copy-paste games focused on multiplayer over monetization. Such blatant disregard for consumers with lack of gameplay improvements while having the nerve to push pop-up sales on the main menu that lead too easily to the PlayStation Store. I love playing NBA, but it drives me nuts so much. I buy it every 2 or 3 years on huge sale to play a bit and every single time the game disappoints me. I only play Era's single-player mode, a mode that is not available on previous gen consoles because of reasons. Guess copy-pasting and altering a few things is too much to do in a year, so PlayStation 4 and Xbox One owners are getting cut out of eras, which is a slap in the face to consumers. Visual Concepts did a great job of creating something special a long time ago, but for years they are struggling to create a significant installment that does things on higher and better level. At this point they are milking their cash cow in some ways even worse than EA Sports did with FIFA. Both studios have shown incapability, unwillingness, lack of pride and lack of morality to be considered needed in this industry. If both studios disappear today, barely anyone should be bothered by it due to the fact that there's plenty of installments of their precious copy-paste games anyways. Modders can take care of the rest like transfers and player updates because it's clear these studios won't or can't do anything anymore to make their games reach a higher level. BioWare. Do I need to say more after Whaleguard, one of the worst attempts at action RPG ever? Utter shit on almost all fronts, with only combat not being bad, but also far from good. Their previous games like Anthem and Mass Effect Andromeda had at least a decent combat, but now even that has gone down in quality. Not gonna comment on the writing outside of the fact that it's terrible. BioWare's last great games are Dragon Age Origins from 2009 and Mass Effect 3 from 2012. Since then it all went downhill hard, more like freefall. Studio has shifted more towards politics instead of quality, unbiased writing, and it showed unfortunately in a bad way. People that have no writing talent hired because of their political affiliations. Why even waste words anymore on BioWare? Anyone that has been playing RPGs for at least 2 decades knows the old legendary BioWare and the new BioWare that should disband because nothing good can come out of it anymore. Warner Brothers is a publisher I despise with passion because of the nickel and diming policies, one of the worst in the business. They have plenty of subsidiaries, but I'll focus on the one most familiar to me, which is Warner Brothers Games Montreal. Ever since they took over Batman games from Rocksteady, this incredible franchise went downhill. Suicide Squad being the latest attempt to create something good, which backfired because they don't have the talent to create good games anymore. Arkham Knight and Arkham Origins are not bad games at all, more like decent to good, but their last 2 games, Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad, are unfortunately signs that they have lost the plot. Gotham Knights had such a huge potential, but instead ended up being a repetitive mess with great graphics. Haven't played Suicide Squad, but I did see gameplay videos and a review or two which only confirmed that it would be a waste of time. With Warner Brothers Montreal, the whole Batman series lost that special something, and it keeps getting worse and worse. I adore Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, and Warner Brothers Montreal are not doing a good enough job to continue that legacy. Next is our dear Ubisoft, with most of its subsidiaries. Let's be honest, only games worth of note in the last decade or so that any of the Ubisoft studios have created are For Honor and Prince of Persia: Lost Crown. Maybe 1 or 2 more that I'm unaware of. Everything else is pretty mediocre to decent at times, and that's it. They have become the staple of copy-paste games with their filler open-world concept that is just busy work to artificially prolong game time, which also became more of a necessity in games like newer Assassin's Creed due to introducing EXP systems that would lock regions behind levels, making players struggle just because their level wasn't high enough. Completely stupid inclusion in a franchise known for its freedom of exploration. But look, they need to have some reason to offer experience boosters in shops. One game that gave me some hope that they could rise above mediocrity is Beyond Good and Evil 2, and it seems like that game won't happen at all. It just disappeared from the radar. I guess anything that requires proper creativity to build from ground up is a big no-no to the overlords at the helm of this crappy company that was once at the forefront of innovation. Video that opened my eyes about their lack of respect for their own games and gamers is Far Cry 2 vs Far Cry 5 comparison. Amount of detail that went into Far Cry 2 is on a very high level, while the same cannot be said for later Far Cries. They removed lots of features and details in order to churn out games like it's an assembly line. Then their over monetization practices, cut content, boosters and whatnot. Burn it with fire, so that no one ever again gets the same idea. Naughty Dog is another studio that has fallen off significantly, but I would still put an asterisk to their name until Intergalactic the Heretic Prophet releases. Problem with Naughty Dog is that they have decided, exactly like BioWare, to become servants to the same political agenda that simply have to be included in a game. Last of Us 1 is an incredible game that tells a fantastic story with awesome characters. Then it switches to a lesbian story to shift the focus away from the almost universally liked main character and starts adding anabolic women and trans people in post-apocalyptic setting. Because that's what's important in a post-apocalyptic setting, right? To challenge the prejudice while the poor bastards are fighting for their lives all day, every day. It's not even the inclusions that bothered me that much, no matter how stupid and illogical it is. It's the fact that inclusions completely ruined the pacing of the story. Constant flashbacks in order to build new characters' backstory and switching of characters didn't do the game any justice. Whenever the story sucks you in, there's either a switch or a flashback that gets you out of it. Last of Us 2 is a great example of how to ruin a franchise, and the TV show didn't help either. What a mediocrity that shit show ended up being. Even Pedro Pascal couldn't help it. Intergalactic game seems to follow some of the things Last of Us 2 did in terms of inclusivity and challenging the norm. But again, that might not be as big of a problem as the fact I wanted to slap the drink out of the main character's hand, pull the dangling straw out of its hand and stick it in the eye socket. How unlikable the goddamn thing is. I have zero trust in Naughty Dog since The Last of Us 2 because they clearly showed where their focus is and what's important to them. I just want to play good, great, amazing games without politics, and Naughty Dog doesn't want to create such products. So shutting it down would be a logical step for me. Bethesda Game Studio is a subsidiary of Bethesda Softworks. They are responsible for The Elder Scrolls, Fallout and Starfield. To some, enough said, but I'll explain further. Bethesda Game Studio hasn't made a good game since Morrowind, which was released in 2002. Oblivion is much worse than Morrowind, Skyrim is decent but not good without mods, Fallout 3 is decent, Fallout 76 is garbage, Starfield is mediocre. Even though I subjectively like Bethesda's games a lot except Fallout 76 and Starfield, realistically it's an overrated studio for the longest time. No good games for 23 years. Modders are Bethesda's biggest asset because mods upgrade their games significantly and that's their big selling point. But when it comes to vanilla game quality, it's mediocre for the longest time and I wouldn't care at all if they would shut down today. They had plenty of time and plenty of chances. Last Studio is not a studio that I would shut down. Instead, I would like for Team Ninja to work with other studios and outsource combat systems and parts of character progression systems, with the rest of the game being developed by someone who can write and create immersive and atmospheric worlds. Not gonna waste time talking again about Team Ninja and their bipolar game development, with some aspects of their games being extraordinary while others being atrocious, because there's plenty of videos on the channel explaining why in depth. At this point they have shown they cannot evolve and improve, but I wouldn't want the studio to shut down because of the incredible combat systems they create. So outsourcing might be the best option. That would be the list. Let me know in the comment section which studios you would want to see shut down. It's an interesting topic which makes me quite interested in the answers. Check out Patreon, subscribe to our merch in the description, and thanks for watching.